host, as always, Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, is Matt, Zombie Dog Daddy Longlegs, Dykes.
Oh my god, that nearly killed me. Oh Jesus, what, like, Daddy Longlegs, is that seriously an insult for someone who's tall?
It's on the list.
That's a bit of a kinky insult, isn't it?
Just get ready for this one. We have Joel Spaghetti DeWitte.
Why?
Oh man, tall man insults were so much better than ball names.
Just
Spaghetti.
spaghetti. It's a long pasta. Is that
I
why?
think so. I know when I
Still,
think
it's
tall,
only as long as you cut it.
well,
You
they
cut your
have
spaghetti?
they have the explanation for the insults in case they're just not making sense. And this one is, if you are quite slender, you may or may not resemble spaghetti, and it has a question mark.
No. I need to go back to Matt cutting spaghetti. That's.
Well, you snap it if you can't fit it in the bowl, the pan even when you.
Okay, I can see that. And I guess I do cut pasta for my 3-year-old.
Exactly.
Are you 3-year-old, Matt?
I mean, mentally, probably.
There we go. So Matt cuts his pasta. Seriously, these insults are so phenomenally bad. I'm saving 2 for next week. There's one that's just the best, and I don't want to use it too soon. I just don't know if it's going to be Joel or Matt. It's tough. I honestly don't know, but we'll find that out next week. And yet again, last week I forgot to have Joel predict what happens in the next one, but I think that's because he knows what happens in this one because I know he'd already seen 4.
Right.
So that system I came up with in the first episode fell apart as fast as humanly possible because now we're in the second to last episode. I'm not going to start it again now.
What do you think is going to happen in 5, Joel?
You're wrong.
Yeah. Whatever you think, you're wrong. Even if you guess the entire plot of 5, you're still wrong. Somehow.
You're still probably wrong. 5 is just an exercise in patience and fantastic insanity. But we'll get to 5 next week. Wow.
Yeah.
5 is so divisive amongst fans too. Like I'm excited to talk about 5. 4, on the other hand, what an odd beast of a movie this is. Originally intended to be an entirely different film with an entirely different script, and then intended to be the end of the franchise, while also using pretty much exclusive footage from the first movie of the franchise. Like, just an odd movie.
Okay,
Well,
thank you. I thought you mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned that. At least half this movie are flashbacks.
Yeah.
It's flashbacks to stuff you haven't seen. No, that's
That
the key
too.
thing.
It's
Well, because
like
they
that.
found
it's like
a
that
truck
episode
of missing footage. Ugh.
They didn't
It's like that
find
episode-
it. Like, Don Coscarelli had it.
I thought it said it was lost. In the IMDb trivia said it was previously lost footage.
No, that's wrong completely.
Damn you, IMDb trivia.
Yeah, Don Coscarelli, he kept all that stuff in storage himself personally. Especially the hanging sequence. And that's why it looks so pristine as well, because, lost footage, usually you have to go through a whole thing to restore it. They didn't have the money on this one to restore anything. Like the budget,
Shoot this one.
the budget
just
for this
didn't.
film was $650,000.
Wow, they overpaid. I'm kidding. I actually really do enjoy this movie as much as I enjoy the rest of them. But this one is, this one's a little nuts. And I think that's large in part because it really tries to play with time travel. And by playing with time travel, I mean just use unused footage. So it gives this a very odd feeling that is both like, is this a good movie? Or, because there's that rumor going around, and you can find people talking about it online. There's a lot of people that say, there is a quote, apparently, I was unable to find it myself, from Don Coscarelli that said, the 4th one was just made to make money. I'm not sure how true that is, because it feels like they actually are trying to tell a story here, specifically a story about the tall man, which I think is interesting. So I don't think I really buy the cash grab thing, because they didn't really spend any money, and it certainly didn't make any money. So I'm not sure how much truth I find behind that.
If anything, this feels like probably the most plot-centric movie out of the series so far.
Yeah. This one legit tries to answer questions. And
Yeah,
the answers might be incredibly disappointing, but it has answers.
I don't believe that for a second that it was just to make money as well, because I think I've even heard, like Don Coscarelli, I think, was offered an insane amount of money for the rights to the Phantasm, so someone could, like a big studio, could remake it, and he refused.
Good call.
So
Very good call.
I don't buy that it was for money, because if it was for money, when someone comes and offering you a massive check to remake it, you'd take it if you were.
If
all
you're doing
about
this
the
for
money.
money, you take the money.
Yeah.
That's kind of how that works. And like Joel said, this is the most plot centric. Like, if this was just a cash grab, I don't think they wouldn't be aiming to end a franchise and aiming to answer questions and trying to explain where the tall man came from. Is he an alien? Is he not? Nope. Like, they have that stuff in here, and it still kind of feels fun. Like, it still kind of has like that element of camp. And like, I get that this one is supposed to be an answer to 3, where Don Coscarelli had heard the fans hated the comedy of 3, so like, all right, we're gonna go back to just random, not really making sense nightmare horror, and they fully lean in on that, for better or worse. But it does come down to that thing of like, when you're making a movie out of necessity and love for a product, you're going to get a different result. So take, from example, Phantasm 1 to Phantasm 4, they might be coming from the same place, but you're different people trying to make the same thing. It's just not going to come out the same. So I can take all that with a grain of salt when we start talking about this movie, which is a mess. But I think a very delightful one. And
Yeah, it is a mess, but it's an enjoyable one. And
Yes.
I actually like the use of the footage from the original one, because it does something that you don't see ever really in films, where like you are cutting back to 30 years ago or however long ago it was, and it's the same actors that are playing young character and old character, and you can tell straight away that these are the same people.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of want to recut the Boyhood trailer, but with footage from Phantasm.
I gotta say, shame on us last week. We did not mention Reggie stuck in the corner by a swarm of balls.
How did we forget to mention that last week?
Oh yeah, we
didn't mention
skipped
the
over
cliffhanger
that.
ending at all. Yeah, I was so
We
excited to
skipped
get to
over
the end of
gang
it.
ball.
Totally skipped the gang. Well, this one starts right up with the gang ball. And actually, I feel like I had to mention this, and I don't know why it took me to part 4 to mention it. The last film franchise we did with Resident Evil also had horrible recaps at the beginning of every movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think this one does this too. Like, just in case you hadn't watched the other movies, here's a recap for you. We want to make sure you're not behind on the story, because the story is what we're all here for. These horrible recaps that end with Reggie getting fully balled into a corner. But
I will
also
say,
not.
I'll say in defense of this series compared to Resident Evil movies were pretty close together in production and release, weren't they, for the most part?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's large spans of times between the movies out in this series, so it kind of makes sense for them to have some sort of last time on Phantasm 3 kind of thing.
I mean, sure, but I think the callbacks are, for some reason, thinking that people who aren't fans of this franchise are going to watch this movie, and that's just unfortunately not the case. You're not tuning into Phantasm 4 if you didn't watch Phantasms 1, 2, and 3.
Fair.
I just don't see that happening. And when you're excited for Phantasm 4 coming out, and Phantasm 3 hasn't been out for 10 years, I'm guessing you're probably going to want to rewatch them before you watch it anyways.
And the thing as well, like Phantasm 3 and 4, they were straight to DVD. There was no theatrical runs on those films as well. Yeah. Well, they were straight to video, sorry. Like, back in the days of videos.
Yeah.
So I think, the fact that these are actually straight to video, I think there's some, they look pretty fucking good. Like, the Blu-ray that I'm watching is, it's remastered from a 2K scan of the film. So, like, this is the best it will have ever looked to anyone.
Yeah. I think I'm watching the same version that you are, because it's a gorgeous looking movie.
Yeah.
And it really does speak to like the the quality filmmaking behind this. Like, this is a straight to video movie that, like, it looks like a theatrical film. It looks as good as the first Phantasm did. Like, the people making these things still have the passion for it, which is, again, throwing acid in that face of the people saying this was just a cash grab. Like, I just don't buy it.
The only way that he will have said that is a joke, because there's no way that he means it.
No way. Like, the story's ridiculous and it doesn't make any sense, but like, they clearly enjoy telling it.
Yeah, it's just
but so much
a
so
passion piece.
Yeah, so let's start talking a little bit about this story, because this one gets going like right out of the gate, and like, we have things where like Mike is talking to Reggie about, do you remember that last day we had together before it all went crazy? That last perfect day? Because then, like, remember, Chewie's watching these movies with me, and then I get the, yeah, perfect, when your parents were dead. And to be fair, what he's talking about, his brother is dead. His parents are still alive in this reality, but Jody died in a car wreck explosion.
It's the day before the tall man comes, though, so, you know, it could potentially be talking about before his parents died.
But we see him in the back of a car with his parents going to Jody's funeral. Like, we don't see his parents' faces, but we see, like, they mention his parents. So I'm not sure if his parents died in that reality.
Are they going to Jody's funeral in that?
I guess I don't know. But either way, he was in a car with his quote-unquote parents.
Yeah.
And Jody died in a car wreck. And not to spoil the end of this movie and where we're going with this thing eventually, but they actually do answer that. Jody did die in a car wreck.
No, it wasn't a car wreck.
Wasn't it? He says, I died in a car wreck.
But then you see the flashback and the tall man, the reflection of the tall man in the mirror. He's like standing there with the knife.
Oh, I guess that's
true.
true.
It's in the house.
Now, in fairness, Jody is an unreliable narrator.
Very unreliable
that's very
narrator.
true. That's true. But if this movie's like really going out there to finally answer the question, what happened to Jody? I gotta ask, as a fan of this fan of Phantasm, who cares?
Right?
Have I ever cared about Jody? No, not really. Jody's kind of been my least favorite character throughout this whole thing. I like him as a ball because I like saying Jody ball, but as a character, I just don't care. I care about Reggie and I care about Mike, and that's it. Jody's just kind of like the dad who showed up to set going, you still got a part for me? Oh,
this is the thing as well. Like, Jody's not even in 2, and you don't miss him. There's not one point in Phantasm 2 where you're there going, where's Jody? I wish we had Jody back.
Like, I love that the actor likes doing the role. I love that he has a good time with everybody, and I love the family aspect of it. But he just doesn't add much to it. I do like his and Reggie's relationship. It really reminds me of I'm blanking on both their names now, but the main characters in American Werewolf in London, like, it kind of has that kind of back and forth, like dead friend, live friend, like banter. But it was done better in that. And if I want that relationship, I'll go watch American Werewolf in London because it's one of the best horror movies ever made, if not like in the top 5.
For this movie, Jody's purpose seems like mostly to give Michael to talk to somebody. Because a lot of Mike's sections of the movie are pretty quiet. He's sort of like talking to himself a little bit. He's trying to solve problems and figure out if there's a way to escape from the tall man. And then it's just something that bounces conversation back and forth in.
And it's so, like, I was more okay with him just talking to the tall man. Like, I kind of liked that relationship and seeing more of that. Like, him with Jody, don't care. Him with tall man, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the sort of adversarial relationship between each other, although he sort of still needs to rely on the tall man to try to find some means to escape. And that's a cool dynamic between the two. I think part of the problem is probably in this time of movie making, having a large section of a movie with very little dialogue would probably be a hard sell.
That's fair. And
let's face it, a made-for-TV movie. Cinematic is different because it's a different environment. You know, you can get away with long stretches of no dialogue a lot more in a cinematic thing because you are focused a bit more. You're setting in pitch black in a cinema. Made for TV, you're watching that at home on a video at the time, so there's things that could distract you. like, you know, even more so now as well, actually. Like, you know, your phone pings or something, it's like, oh, that's taken my attention away.
But even with that in mind, this movie is shot very well.
Oh yeah, I'm not
Like-
not disputing like at all the fact that it is shot very well.
But yeah, there's definitely a different like guiding your eye for at-home movies versus cinema movies. I totally agree. But like when we get to this, you know, Mike in the desert, I don't know, doing peyote or whatever it is that he's doing, we get some really good shots. Like the hanging tree stuff is really well done. And it got me to do, you know, a wonderful pun in my notes of it was new seeing you, Mike.
Oh dear. I was just wondering where he got the rope from. But then maybe I shouldn't ask those kind of
Yeah,
questions.
don't ask. I mean, yeah, no, don't ask those questions.
That was a very well-made noose as well. Like, you know, how many times has he tried to hang himself? Because that was an expertly tied noose. That's,
Oh yeah,
you know.
but then we get this amazing, like that's where that relationship comes in. That's so cool, and like I love that sequence. So Mike's just giving up, hanging himself on this like incredibly cinematic tree in the desert, and he's just hanging and just hanging, and then we get the "Where do you think you're going, boy?"
Yeah. Death
Like, this is
no
awesome.
escape from me. Mm-hmm. Which
Like this is what I want to chew on in Phantasm movies. Like this whole like I just need to get away from the tall man. Screw it, he's ruined my whole life. I'll just kill myself in the desert. Nope, not good enough.
yeah, and then you get the flashback to the hanging sequence as well. Which, man, that's a good sequence. That like the way
It
they
is.
intercut it.
I can see why they got rid of it in the first movie.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
totally
yeah.
see why they got rid of it. But for the fourth movie, it works perfectly. It's almost like he
Yeah.
knew he was going to go make this movie at some point. we all
I
know
mean,
that's
I
not
think
true.
it's more that when he was writing the script for the fourth one, he's like, "Oh, I've got that footage from one with the hanging. Oh, I'll write a hanging in here."
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but
How
that
did Joel put it last week? Like the, you know, put what needs to be in there and then shove in what you want in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Hanging sequence. But it is a really cool sequence, and like even the first movies, it's good. Like I love the whole like the cut me down, boy.
Yeah.
But it works so perfectly with their relationship because it's meant to show the powerlessness that Mike has. Like
Yeah.
throughout all this, you mentioned last week that like he has agency sort of, but not really because he is not the one pulling the thread. It's the tall man, and it's sort of part of his master plan to let him escape, to let him kill a version of the tall man, and then make him think that he's made progress on it.
Yeah.
So even in when him wanting to kill himself and just end it, it's still like, no, you're not allowed to. You can die when it's the it's the Bane comment, like, now you have my permission to die.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I mean, like even when the rope breaks, and it's one of my favorite lines in the whole film. Is like the tall man just walks up and goes, "You may not take your own life. That is my domain exclusively."
Yeah, that was a good.
Such a
Exclusively.
fucking good
great
line.
line. Yeah.
It's like, you know, like it's the addition of exclusively, like you said, Brian. Like
Yeah.
it is amazingly well delivered line as well from Angus Scrimm.
Angus
Who-
Scrimm in this movie crushes it.
Yes.
Like both as the villain and then like the before he becomes a villain version
Oh yeah,
of
Jebediah
Morningstar.
Morningside.
Morningside, sorry, I want
Yeah.
to call him Morningstar. I'm going a little Lucifer on it.
Would you like some lemonade? It's like, what
Like-
the fuck is this?
He's just such a nice old man.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you. Oh, you turned so evil and full of yellow goo. But I just, he does such a good job. And this, like, part 4 made for video movie, like, so many people missed out on it. Like, if you'd only seen the first Phantasm, which, of course, he's amazing in, he just gets better.
I remember when we watched the second movie and he talked a little more. My first thought was like, I'm not sure I want him having much dialogue at all. Like, no, I felt like it was so sparsely used that it was just like, that made it more striking. But the more
Less is more.
yeah, but the more we watch it, it's like he has come into his own, and every line has a punch, even when he talks more. So yeah, great job by him.
Yeah, and he doesn't say more than he needs to, so that everything he says it lands like a hammer.
Right.
Yeah, and the way that he delivers the lines as well is just, it's like the pause between that is my domain and exclusively as well. It's like a very, very short pause, but it makes that exclusively hit harder.
Yeah. And I also like throughout the rest of the franchise, I always got this animosity from the tall man towards Mike. And in the fourth one, I feel like that kind of melts away. Like, I feel like the tall man doesn't really hate Mike. He needs Mike, and we don't really know why. But it's one of those like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that you hate me, and I don't care. You're mine.
Yeah.
My question isn't whether or not he doesn't have an opinion on you. He just needs you, and you just happen to hate him.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to sort of almost like pass the baton to Mike. And, you've got like the little things like where he opens up the hearse and there's the tall man's suit on a hanger in the back of it. And I think that's where Mike's kind of like, I don't want to become this creature. I'm going to fight against it. So he starts actively trying to fight against it. He builds that weird sphere thing in the car engine and stuff like that.
He makes his own ball.
Yeah?
Yeah, he does.
It's a real crap ball, but he makes it. It's definitely the worst ball in the franchise.
I mean,
he does
it's not even really a ball. It's very knobbly to say it's a ball.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a very mini technodrome.
Look, he made that ball from scraps in the desert.
I mean, that is fair. And a car engine.
And a car engine.
Very resourceful with this shitty little
what you're
ball.
saying is he's the Tony Stark of Phantasm.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Yeah, because you were literally quoting a line from Iron Man. I didn't know if you did that intentionally.
Yeah, I did.
Wonderful.
Oh, dear.
All right, so let's go back to Reggie for a little bit, because the movie jumps back to Reggie, and Reggie's still on his road trip, hunting down the tall man, hitting on random women that he sees on the side of the road, and then he just pulls up next to a woman and just staring at her nearly gets her killed.
Yeah.
Well, the tortoise in the middle of the road that she swerves to avoid is what nearly gets her killed.
But
really,
if he hadn't tried to pull up next to her to try to like, hey, at her, she would have had ample time to avoid said tortoise, and not flipped her car.
Yeah, Matt. What did she avoid?
A tortoise.
Huh. I've never heard it said that way.
Am I saying it weirdly?
No, you're just saying you're British.
Yeah.
We
Let me
dumb
guess, you say
Americans. We say
tortoise.
turtle.
Tortoise. Well, no, turtles are different things.
Yeah, we say turtle.
It's a different thing. Turtles need water.
Slow shell thing.
Yeah, slow shell
And the
turtle
smaller.
thing. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying we are, but that's what we say.
You Americans.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
the problem.
that is what we are.
Yep.
You do realize
Bingo.
we've missed a huge thing involving Reggie, though, by skipping to this. The zombie cop.
Oh, we did skip the
yeah.
zombie cop because we jumped right into Mike doing peyote. But like, there is something about like that zombie cop. That is the most accommodating attacker I've ever seen. I'm like, all right, so you only have one shotgun, but it's locked. Oh, let me get right above that for you.
And again, the yellow goo goes in
Right in
Reggie's
his mouth.
again.
Yeah.
Number one, where the hell did that zombie man come from? And I know we're not going to get an answer to that question.
Never. Never we get an answer to that
The
question.
tall man sent him. That's all you need to know.
Some cops are dicks, man.
Yeah, real assholes.
Anyway, number two, when he opens that trunk, that disgusted me. Like,
Oh,
the
folded
Tetris
man with
guy.
like the holes in his face?
yes, and like bent up into little like, awful.
To be fair, it also disgusted Reggie because Reggie then murders him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, he's about to get stuck in the trunk, right? Like, hell no, I'm not being with some mangled, half-alive person who's going to die anyway. Fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy certainly... I mean, he was dying. He wasn't going to last much longer, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, into suffering.
He gets thoroughly blown up.
Yeah,
But anyway, so jumping
just
back to
random
the
road
other
flare.
Reggie scene. So Reggie's hitting on a girl. She dodges out of the way of a turtle, flips her car. He runs to the car to get her out of the car. hold on, we gotta get you away from your car before it blows up. And I love that line. Like, you can just feel it. Like, it's just a total trailer bait. So that I thought cars only blew up like that in the movies. Ba-boom!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then you got Reggie saying, yeah, so did I.
And my answer is like, yeah, in the movies you're right, but this is Phantasm.
Mm-hmm.
Cars only blow up like this in Phantasm.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah.
And I got to throw it out there, that might be the smallest car explosion we've had yet.
You might be
Oh,
right.
yeah, like the flames were only about, 2 stories high as opposed to 10.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's still a big explosion, but compared to the other Phantasm car blowups, like, this one was kind of tiny.
Yeah, I don't think you could have seen that one from space. The
No,
other ones
no.
you probably would have done.
Look, I want to know that a good nuke went off in the trunk. I don't think a nuke went off in the trunk this time. Like, I think the flare in the gas tank was a bigger explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... I hate using this phrase. I had to suspend disbelief
Yeah.
to think that that wouldn't immediately cause some sort of flames coming out of the car. Also, the fact that a locked door kept the zombie from breaking out, like that.
It's a well-made lock.
I mean, he was also stabbed in the abdomen with a baton, which good on Reggie to be able to just put that much force into it. But
I think a lot of effort to stab somebody with a blunt object like that. But go Reggie.
But bear in mind as well, he'd already shot him with a shotgun, so I think he was just putting it into the holes and then just sort of rummaging around.
Round peg, round hole. We got you.
Yeah.
It's a joke that's not going to land at all because it really requires listening to these episodes back to back.
There might be someone out there who will listen to them back to back.
I guess.
it's thematically right. It's kind of
There
like
we
watching
go.
these movies.
Yeah. So now we have Reggie's got his road companion for all of 20 minutes. They go to a motel that is completely just decimated, like flea-ridden, cockroach-bitten, mold-ridden bed that Reggie's yet again gonna try to get laid on. But the girl starts changing with him in the room just behind this see-through curtain, and I'm not sure what Reggie's thinking. At this point, we're 4 movies deep in a 5-movie franchise. Don't trust the naked lady. Just don't do it. If she's willing to sleep with you, she's probably evil, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yep.
But that's your lot in life.
I mean, that's what you get for being a bit of a creep.
It does that funny thing where she's shamelessly changing behind what's clearly a see-through wall, but then also trying to act like she's being modest every time she peeks out.
Just keeps peeking out with less and less clothing on and just keeps covering herself up. Don't look at me, but I'm also look at me. It's like, Reggie, if you can't spot a trap this far away, like what's wrong with you, buddy? The fact that she's okay even sleeping here is already curious. And the fact that it took her 15 minutes to take off a shirt and put on a shirt is also suspicious. There's so many problems with her. And she lays down in the bed next to him, says, "You sound demented," and then still agrees to sleep next to you pantsless. Red flags galore, dude.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the morning he wakes up and we got boob balls.
Boob balls.
I couldn't tell
That's
if that
literally
was...
my note. Boob balls.
I will say...
boob balls! That's what I wrote.
I couldn't tell whether that was a dream sequence or real until we got to the actual, horror part of it. It's tough.
Yeah, that was... Chewie kept going, so when does he wake up and she comes back? Oh, no, he does. She's gone now. That was her part in this movie. Show up, get naked, have boob balls.
Yeah, this is the time where I started telling Kelly, he's kind of having his version of Bond girls in all these movies. Yeah. There's always one. They always sort of seem to play a small part, and they're seemingly getting killed sooner and sooner.
Yeah,
they have less and less screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah, less screen time. This is kind of like the Ana de Armas in the most recent Bond movie of hey, here's a girl. Hey, she did something interesting. There she goes. Yep.
Yeah, but Ana de Armas lived.
Well, yeah, that is true. They definitely went okay, maybe we can use her in another sequel. Every franchise in the world is doing right now. Holy crap, she's quite talented. Let's keep her around. I can't argue with that. But this movie did not do that. This one just killed that poor blonde lady and moved ever so quickly along and went, you know what we need? We need nostalgia. Let's put Reggie in his ice cream suit.
Oh, Kentucky Fried Reggie is not something I need to see. The freaking bolo tie.
With his ever-changing color of undershirts, he tries white, he tries gray, he tries black. I don't know why he keeps changing his undershirt from scene to scene, but he sure does.
What is it with white dress shirts that are always like see-through?
I don't know. And there's something about white pants. They're going up your ass. You put on white pants, you're going to walk around with a wedgie. I'm sorry, Reggie, with your wedgie. It's just a thing.
A Reggie wedgie.
Like, I love Reggie's character so much, like, warts and all. But that ice cream suit, man, it worked in the first one. End of list.
Yeah,
I mean, the first one, it worked in that one because that's what ice cream men wore in the 70s, though.
Exactly.
This is now
we're in the
1998.
90s.
Yeah.
Why do you still have this?
Yeah, and it's a part of the suiting up scene where you're just like, he's putting shotgun shells into his vest. He's pulling up his 4-barrel shotgun, and it's just ice cream Reggie, and it just deflates the whole balloon.
Like,
But it works because of that, though. I think it works because of the fact that it's real badass. That's what he's wearing. Because it is so Reggie. This sort of like, he's badass, but it's not really badass.
Yeah, it's Reggie badass.
Yeah.
And
As badass as Reggie can get, man.
And I forget, I don't recall that ever getting dirty. Am I forgetting?
Oh, there's a few times where it gets dirty.
Oh, okay, all right.
I was keeping my eyes peeled on this one, thinking that's very white. He's in the desert. Oh yeah, dirt, dust. I mean, it wasn't consistent, but there was definitely shots where there was like red sand all down these white trousers and on his white shirt and everything.
And now we get Mike's superpowers.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Mike's suddenly gone all full blown psychic.
Super Saiyan Mike. Like, we're ready to go. Like, I'm almost disappointed that we didn't like get a cut of him with like anime flames behind him with his gold eyes. Like, Rah! Like,
Wait, was that
would've
not
been
in
awesome.
the one that you watched?
I know, I watched the wrong version
watched?
again. Fuck. But I like Superpower Mike. It's just dumb enough that I'm into it.
Yeah.
And then
It also kind of explains in a weird way why the tall man is so interested in him.
yeah. I mean, my guess is, because they don't fully explain this, but I think it just is the tall man was trying to groom Mike to replace him, right? That's kind of what this was going for.
That's
That's what I take from it.
Because we have the nightmare from Reggie where he sees Mike as like the new tall man. Like, he has a whole like shoulder clap thing from the first movie. Like, that's all in there. But that's really all we get. Like the tall man going up against Reggie with the most amazing line ever with his ice cream man.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
amazing.
all in his head.
It's all in his head. It's an amazing sequence. And then I love everything about it. Like, but it's also kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, this is supposed to be the end of the franchise.
that all in his head comment works great as a double meaning word too.
Oh yeah. Like, I love Mike. Like, he's coming for me. He's gonna split open my skull, and there's nothing I can do about it. And hey, he was right.
Yeah.
Yep. All that happens, and there was nothing you could do about it.
I will say,
mean,
like, one of the best things these movies do are the screams.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, Mike sells the shit out of how painful that is.
Like, this is really the only thing this guy does is play Mike, and he does it well. Like, as well as he can. Like, the acting's never flawless in these things, but I would say he does a pretty good job with Mike.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
I mean, like, one thing that we've missed, the tuning fork making a comeback. Suddenly, that makes the balls explode.
Makes the balls explode, makes the
Tall man stop.
just freeze for some
Yeah.
reason.
And Jody.
And Jody, well, because Jody's evil. Ball Jody's not a good guy, we find out. Or the Jody ball is not a good ball. The tuning fork thing is weird. And I'm not sure if it's weird in a way that I enjoy or weird in a way that I'm like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah,
Like, there's
I
so
know
much
what you
stuff
mean.
in these movies that I can chew on and I can have so much fun with. Like, what are the balls? Are they little brains and balls that want to drain other brains for some reason? Are they just little weird machines that just destroy people? Are they security measures? I can dive into that stuff. Like, what are the little shrimpy people? Like, we have no idea, but they're fun. But when it comes to this, I'm like, I don't... What's the point, I guess, is my thing. Like, I get the whole, like, the frequency aspect that they try to hammer, like, oh, he's trying to dial into the right frequency to be able to go through different dimensions, and the tuning fork frequency, okay. But it feels like a little too much of a reach to me that just banging a tuning fork stops everyone, because what kind of tuning fork? What are you going for? Like, is it just whatever one you can find? Because there's lots of different tuning forks out there.
Yeah, and it's like, different tuning forks have different frequencies as well. So is it just happen to be that specific frequency that specific tuning fork has, and you just got lucky?
I have no answers, and it's not like the movie has any interest in answering these things, which is fine. I'm fine with Phantasm not answering questions, because most of the time when it does answer a question, it's like, well, that didn't answer shit. So I'm fine with them leaving this blank, but because it's so blank, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I feel about the same way the tuning forks that do the cold stuff in 3. Like, I think you're kind of making a reach here. Like, oh, you have a shot of him going like, I see cold, therefore I don't like cold. Okay, I guess the tall man doesn't like cold. And they lean all in on that. And now they're leaning all in on the tuning fork thing. And it's like, they kind of did this in the part 1. Kind of like the whole like tuning fork, like stopping the tuning fork to like turn on the vacuum to the other dimension thing, but they don't really do that here. It's just kind of a pause button.
Yeah,
just weird, and not weird in a way that I like to chew on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I agree.
No, it
did sort of come out of nowhere, and then it's also a utility that they completely divorce from their toolkit too, once the tall man can just, telekinesis grab and put it back into his hands.
Yeah, then doesn't like destroy it, just like, oh, I'll hang on to that for later.
Yeah, it's like, yes, this is a weapon that can be used against me. I'll study this later.
Yeah, let's figure out what this is. But if he is the guy who figured all this stuff out, I imagine he would know exactly what to do with it. And he's supposed to be super strong. Why doesn't he just unbend it?
Yeah. I mean, he literally crushed one of the balls in the second one.
So, I mean, do you really want to keep a weapon around that can only kill you or pause you? Like, just fix it. No? Okay.
Yeah. It's the weirdest... I mean, like, this is saying something, but it's the weirdest thing in this film, I think. That is saying something.
At least,
I think it's
at least from, like, a weapon standpoint, and from a, like, connecting the dots of the logic of it, right? I think so, at least.
Yeah. It's the only leap that I have a little trouble making, which is saying something for a franchise like this, where, like, I'm going to leap throughout all this. Like, the time travel stuff, the fact the movie ends in the 70s somehow. Like, no, I'm fine with all this. But the tuning fork, I don't know.
I think it's just because it's such an innocuous thing. Like, all the other crazy stuff is in context of other crazy stuff. And so you can sort of accept it as part of the logic they enter. And then the tuning fork just seems like this odd thing that's been there in the background the entire time, but not really utilized in a meaningful way outside of being a portal.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Because, like, even the portal stuff, as far as a tuning fork goes, still doesn't make sense. Because, like when you see, like, the portal, which is just 2 silver poles in the ground, it's not like anybody has to, like, whack them to get them to start doing the tuning thing. Like, it's nothing like that. It's just, they're just there. You can stop them by touching them both like you do a tuning fork, but to get them activated, they're just there.
And 3 sort of, sets up the fact that these portal gates can be anywhere and they just come up through the ground as well.
Yeah. Which they kind of hold to in this one. Like, he's out in, like, the desert, and, like, he sees just one, and then he goes through a portal, and then there's, like, 100.
Yeah,
guys,
I always thought that is that like a way station or something? Like, you go through this portal to get to 1970s. You go through this portal to get to the 1870s. You go through this portal to go to Vulcan.
This movie's just the ending of BioShock Infinite.
Except we don't cut off a little girl's finger at some point. But we've kind of finished this movie. This one was actually a little bit easier to get through because it's so stuck with the flashbacks. I feel like we should just take a minute. We still got like another 15 minutes till I'd start wrapping this thing up normally. Let's kind of talk about those flashbacks. Like, let's talk about like either like the Mr. Morningside or like the kid stuff with Mike. I really like that it's in here. Like, I understand why people don't like it. I understand that it kind of meant they only shot half a movie and they made it work. But I think having that in here and having that like old school character stuff really does make this movie its own thing. Which is great because that means that all 5 Phantasm movies are very much their own movie. The only problem with it making its own thing that's basically like a flashback, like the, you know, what happened in the original stuff happening now, like the ripple effect and whatnot, is that it is a constant reminder of how much better the first movie is.
Yeah, I can see that. I like the flashbacks though, and I think like this could have easily, like, you know, had there been very little effort put into incorporating this footage in, it could have easily come across as kind of like a clip show.
Yeah.
But there is underlying themes in the sequences that happen before the flashback and after the flashbacks, which seem to mesh really well together. Like, you know, we mentioned Mike's trying to hang himself. They go to the hanging sequence, and then they cut back to, you know, after Mike has cut the rope in the flashback, and you have the tall man land, and he looks up and goes, "Boy!" You then cut to the rope breaking on its own in the desert, and I think that works so well. Like, the way that's all cut together, I absolutely love that. Like, yeah, it is because, you know, the first one is, it's got more of a feeling to it. Like, this is the brightest Phantasm film because it's, you know, in the desert, so it's very, you know, for the most part, it's taking place during the day. So there's that nice contrast between the light and dark as well on all those flashbacks, because the majority of those flashbacks that we see are actually nighttime or something like that.
Well, a lot of them are, but they also have like the stuff that was supposed to be the beginning of the movie they cut because they didn't want too much of the happy stuff in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So they have all that bright daytime stuff. But
yeah,
I think
that's true.
The fact that the flashbacks allow it to have its only ending where the tall man doesn't win, I think, is worth it all. And I think that's what kind of going back to our conversation earlier about how this could be potentially seen as the end. This is the only movie that doesn't end with somebody getting ripped out a window.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Like this movie ends, and you could assume, if you want to be that sort of fan, it ends with them winning. Because it ends back in the 70s, and they've kind of undone things. So you have Reggie's line of like, did you hear that? Like, it's weird stuff. And then you have Mike going, nah, it's just the wind.
See, I don't see it as that. I see it as the tall man has won. At that point, he's got the ball out of Mike's brain. Reggie's chased after him. The way I interpret that ending, I've always interpreted it that way. It's maybe different now that we've got number 5, but up until number 5 coming out, I always interpret it as these are Mike's sort of like dying thoughts, and he's just sort of thinking back to almost like a happier time. And then the sort of like the driving out into the darkness is him dying.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, he does say, "I'm dying, Reg."
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the sound that they hear where he's like, it's just the wind.
Yeah, you could take it like that. You could absolutely take it like that. I always went the more optimistic thing of like, oh, they undid it. So yeah, he's dying because that version of Mike is dying, and now unfucked Mike can live. That's how I tried to take it, but that was me trying to be more optimistic, I guess, than Phantasm wants you to be. But I think but Phantasm can be so open-ended and can be that movie that you can just kind of like talk about and theorize that I think both of us can be right.
Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah, and it still works in Phantasm. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, he definitely died. Oh, and he also lived and they won, but they also definitely lost. Great, Phantasm, thank you. Joel, where do you land on it?
I'm not sure I cared too much for the the actual flashbacks. I mean, I do see your point of like it does sort of loop things back around. It gives them a chance to provide more context and history for the characters in their younger selves. I think part of the gap for me is I felt like Reggie wasn't really a focus of most of this. He has this sort of scenes while he's trying to catch up with them. He kind of seems more lost than anything from what I sort of perceived in the modern world kind of stuff. And he sort of if 3 was Reggie centric, this was Mike centric, and I find the Mike stuff fascinating and great. I felt like Reggie was sort of tossed aside for the most part. And that felt like sort of a gap filler to make up for that to me. I think in terms of the ending they went with, I'm inclined to believe that it's closer to what Matt suggested. Just given the thematic stuff, given the fact that he ends on the ground, his brain basically pulled out, and him being in his dying, gasping breath, it kind of made sense to me that it's like life flashing before his eyes, sort of trying to build a construct where he didn't experience this trauma and stuff. And I'm not sure, Brian, I like the idea of basically the whole series being retconned into a bad dream, you know? So that's where I sort of land on the idea. That stuff is sort of what makes
Boy,
this...
you're in for a treat with 5.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm also not saying that. 5 is a movie.
I mean, to be fair, I'm kind of looking forward to watching 5 again because, like you, I've only seen it once, and that was when I got the Blu-ray set back in 2016 or something. So it's been a good 6 years since I've seen it.
Yeah, it's been a while. But no, I would say you've fully converted me over to the other side, which I'm fully aware of probably is the correct answer. I think I just like the character Mike, and since we got the kid Mike back in this thing, it kind of felt like we got our main character back. Like, I know the same actor's been in the other movies, but it was kind of like, oh, we got him back. Look, he's here again. So I kind of like that's just me being, optimistic and a fool of like, oh no, go Mike, you did it. Yeah, I know you probably did it. You did just say you died. But then again, Jody also told me he died in a car wreck. And I've never seen a car wreck in these movies. I've seen a lot of car explosions, but I'm hesitant to call them wrecks.
I mean, I'm pretty certain that if a car explodes, it's classed as a wreck.
It shouldn't. Okay, if a normal car does a normal explosion, I would agree with you. Phantasm explosions are their own thing.
This is
if
true.
a car blows up like it does in Phantasm, it's because it was loaded with dynamite.
Wait, are American cars not powered by dynamite?
Surprisingly, no.
Huh.
That does feel like a very American thing to do. Then.
No, they're powered by guns and freedom.
Well, petrol prices are going through the roof in the UK, so I'm not surprised. I won't be surprised if they are getting powered by dynamite soon.
Well, I'm pretty sure the South just wants to power their cars on liberal tiers, but we'll see what happens there.
Oh, man. I'm not sure which reality I want more, Phantasm or what we're in.
Or that?
Yeah.
Or this one?
Yeah. On the precipice of nuclear war, like...
I think I'd take Phantasm.
Yeah, I'm thinking Phantasm, because at least there's a possibility that the tall man will, go and sort Putin out.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So,
actually, the tall man would be Putin, though.
Yeah, most likely. Yep. Mm-hmm. So I will say this. So we're nearing the end of this one. Chewie finished this movie.
Oh,
really?
She made it all the way through the end, and she got to the end.
It?
And I have my theory in the ending, which I'll admit is probably wrong. You have your theory in the ending, which I'll admit is probably right. And then we have Chewie's ending, which is that was an ending. That didn't stop. The movie just stopped being a movie. There's no ending.
Yeah, I kind of agree with her too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just, it does just stop. And to, your point, if it was going to be sort of an end to the series, even if it was just sort of there's no more steam in the series to churn out another movie by, it's ambiguous. And that's what allows divergent opinions.
I actually like that it's ambiguous, though, because it is totally in keeping with the rest of Phantasm. Because Phantasm has never been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 point film, it's always been very ambiguous. Like, is this real? Is this a dream? It's never been like A to B.
Yeah, but
it's like been like B to A.
But that's also part of why I kind of liked it to land the plane in some way. You sort of suffer through these movies and not really understanding what's happening and what is real and what is not. You're right, it's in keeping with the series, but there's a part of me that is just like, I'd really like some clarity and a clear conclusion.
Plenty of clarity. You got brain balls. You got Jody died in a car wreck, kind of. And then we have the very clear-cut ending of, well, he's dying and he's also alive. I don't understand what your problem is, Joel. There's nothing but clear-cut answers here.
I have to say, and I keep meaning to say this, I'm going to try and get this out. The shot of the tall man going through the space gate at the end, man, I love that shot. The look on his face, it's like, it's weird, because it's almost sad. He's almost got this sad look on his face. It's like, yes, I've got everything that I want, but now I'm not really satisfied with it now.
I mean, he's been telling Mike for 4 movies now that he plays a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He just kind of lost his partner.
Yeah, I think it's a sadness that the game is actually over.
Yeah. Until part 5.
Until part 5.
Yeah. The game gets a little different in part 5, though. And I'm very excited to get there. Is there anything that we've missed in this that we want to talk about? Like, we were able to get through the movie a little bit quicker with part 4, which is both either a compliment to us or an insult to the movie.
No, I can't think of a single thing. Like I feel like even the conversation we've had in some ways has been kind of stretching what you can sort of wring out of it.
It's the problem when you jam a movie full of flashbacks. We had the same thing when we got to the bottle episode of Resident Evil, which I think was also part 4. No, that was part 5.
Part 5.
But it was the same thing. Was like, there's just not a lot to chew on in this one.
There's one thing I will mention, because I didn't know where to fit this in, because we didn't even talk about the sequence, actually. But that scene of the tall man walking down, was it Sunset Boulevard or Wilshire Boulevard?
Oh, yeah.
Like, nobody around. Like,
I believe it's Wilshire.
Yeah, the way they did that, they shot it at just after sunrise on Thanksgiving Day, and they had no permits, no nothing. That was the only way they got that street empty.
That would never work nowadays, because it would be a turkey trot for sure.
Yeah,
there'd be a whole bunch of people out there running a 5K.
They got up at like 4:00 in the morning to shoot it. Michael Baldwin tells a story as well about how he was woken up by a knocking on his door at 4:00 in the morning, and he opened the door, and it was Angus Scrim in full tall man costume, like basically saying, "Let's go." And he said it was one of the most scariest things that I've ever experienced.
He's such a nice guy. Like, you whenever you see him interviewed, he's always such a nice guy. But I hope he answered the door in full character. Boy, it's time to go.
He didn't say boy, apparently, but he did just sort of like say it in a very, it's time to go, kind of, that sort of like deadpan thing.
That's awesome. And it's a really cool shot. Like we said it before, this movie is shot very well. I would argue it's probably one of the best shot direct-to-video movies ever made.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that. I mean, they did that entire sequence on the street as well in 10 minutes. Like, literally 10 minutes.
Well, if you don't have permits, especially when you're, I'm assuming shooting on film, it might have been video, but knowing...
No, it's definitely
film.
It's definitely film when you look at the master, like what we're watching on the Blu-ray, that's 100% film.
Yeah, so if you're doing that, your loader's out there, like, that takes a second to get going. So, yeah, good for them. But I think we're ready to move into favorite moments.
Yep.
Who hasn't gone first? I feel like I haven't let Joel go first yet. Have you gone first yet, Joel?
It's been a minute. I think the hanging scene. I mean, there's just so much that is built into that scene. Not just the starkness of somebody trying to hang themselves in the middle of the desert, but then again reiterating that, like, he has no control. He doesn't get agency in how he chooses his life, including how to end it. It is sort of a nice culmination of everything that happened before it, and it's just a powerful moment by the tall man too.
Yeah,
that tree is very sort of stark as well, because you've just got You've got this dead desert, and you've got that weird shaped tree just in the middle of nothing, essentially.
It's just a weirdly warped tree that is devoid of the water it needs to grow and kind of withering, and yeah, it's very Old West looking.
That hanging tree is still there, by the way.
Really?
As of April 1st, 2021, I'm looking at a YouTuber who went out to go find it, and he found it. It's still there.
Wow. Didn't realize it was a real tree.
Neither did I. I was just looking up, like, was it a real tree or was it a fake one? And nope, it's a real tree. They pruned it a little bit and now has leaves and stuff on it.
Ah.
Yeah. So it's still there though.
Go kill the leaves on that tree for our amusement.
Yeah, don't do that. Matt, what was your favorite moment?
I mean, I'm kind of with Joel on the whole hanging sequence, but I'll go with the line as well, which I said earlier on. But it's just the way that he delivers it, where, you know, Tall Man comes into shot. There's that you're looking up at the sun. His head then blocks the sun out, and you then get the nice sort of like focus on the Tall Man's head. And he says, "You may not take your own life. It is my domain, exclusively."
Yes.
So fucking good.
So good. But since you guys picked like legit good moments, I'm gonna go against the grain a little bit.
Are you gonna get boob balls?
I'm going with boob balls. I mean, boob balls is a scene from a different script from a failed movie. Again, we'll talk more about that one in the wrap up episode. They're like, let's just put that one in here. So they had to go hire an actor and everything just to get this one sequence in there. The whole thing is like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have boob balls? Let's do it. They spent time and money and effort just to shove that one scene into this movie. And, you know, it worked.
You know, it was originally going to be the guy who plays Mike, Michael Baldwin.
Baldwin.
Yeah, Michael Baldwin. It was actually going to be his wife, Jennifer, who was going to be that character, which is why the character's called Jennifer.
Yeah. But she did provide the laugh of the witch in the car.
She did. And the voice as well. We're going, Jebediah?
Yeah. But yeah, she was not boob ball lady.
No, she was not.
Probably a good call.
She was the receptionist in the hospital in 3, though.
Oh, the one who just kind of ignored Reggie?
Yeah.
No. She's terrible at her job.
I mean, she's ignoring Reggie. She's a smart cookie.
I mean, that is true. All right, but we've done it. We did it for part 2, and we're going to do it for part 5. Joel!
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen in part 5?
Well, you know, you've poisoned the well a lot with sort of the lead-ins to illusions of things. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Reggie dies in the 5th movie. I'm going to say that the Tall Man wins at the end of things. Okay. And I'm going to say that there is a woman in the movie that Reggie pines after respectfully.
Wow, you are... I think you're doing pretty well with this one. I'm not sure... I don't.
Wow, until he said respectfully.
Yeah, the adding the respectively, like... I have to remember how that sequence goes, but I think he is much nicer to this woman than any other woman. But she's in the trailer a whole bunch, so she has one scene in the trailer, I should say. But that scene is, oh my god, this movie's so fucking corny.
Oh, and car explosions.
Well, of course, there's going to be a car explosion. You can't have Phantasm without blowing up a car.
Exactly.
But just wait till you see the cars in this thing. I'm so excited for Joel to watch this movie, and the rest of you if you are watching along with us. But it's time to bring this one to a close. Do we do a quick round of plugs and say goodbye?
Yeah.
Be sure to check out the other show on the HH Network, Demon Days, the actual play podcast of D&D. It's been a whole bunch of fun. I love being the bullywug every week. It's just an awesome show. I highly recommend it to everybody. And you can go check out where Drew's been up to since he's no longer with us on this one. Joel, what about you?
Super GG Radio is a video game podcast talking about early pre-release games, mostly indie, and then talking about playing our backlogs. My wife and I do a podcast called Afterthoughts. Has been mostly books. We do sometimes delve into TV and movies, but we are TBD on what is next there. So keep your eyes peeled.
Does TBD stand for totally.
Yeah, let's hear it. Where are we going
June.
with this?
Totally better be June.
That's TBBD. He said TBD.
Totally. Fuck.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's. I'm guessing it's not Dune based on all of that. Matt,
Just
anything
do
to plug?
Dune. Dune. I'll plug Dune.
The book or the movie or the movie or the movie.
The movie.
Which one?
The newest one.
It's a really good movie. Although it's only half a movie, and that drives me nuts. I'm not here for parts 1 and part 2 of movies. It drives me nuts. The movie doesn't end. It just stops.
Yeah. That's what
It drives me.
Phantasm does that.
Phantasm is designed to do that. Dune, I know where it's going. Don't call it Dune if it's not Dune. Just call it half of Dune.
I mean, they called it Dune Part 1 in the actual film.
It's really more Dune 1/3. It's a very good third of a movie, but it feels like a third of a movie.
I feel like you can blame Marvel for this splicing up of different episodes of movies.
Oh, no, I think this is just because Dune is such a long fucking book.
Oh, no. It's Peter Jackson. No, not even Peter Jackson. It was before that. It was it Twilight? I think it was Twilight. Whoever decided they could split their last movie into 2 parts first. They're the reason this has happened. And I think it was Twilight.
No, I think it was Harry Potter, wasn't it?
I think Twilight hit before Harry Potter. I think Harry Potter did it after Twilight. Because Harry Potter wanted to do it with part 4, but they turned the director down because Alfonso Cuarón said he would do it if he could do it 2 parts. And they said, no, that's stupid. Who's ever going to take a movie in 2 parts? And now fucking everyone does.
I hate movies.
You're on the wrong podcast.
No,
Actually, we're watching Phantasm. He's in the
was
right
gonna say,
podcast if he hates movies.
I've done a lot of self-loathing, so it really works out fine.
I think we've done it, though. So be sure to tune in next week when we bring Reggie's 4-Bell Ice Cream, at least the movie part of it, to a close. The week after that, we'll do a wrap-up. But we got to watch the last movie. And my God, Phantasm V Ravager is a hell of a ride. It is both probably the best of the franchise and the absolute worst of the franchise. It is everything. And I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Me too, actually.
All right, guys. Time to say goodbye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Goodbye.